So you've looked over the questions,
Yeah.
and don't be afraid to add or
Yeah.
edit as we go. So
And I'll
it's
try
just
to tell
a visit.
I'll try to tell you as much as I can remember.
Okay, well, I'm sure your memory is sharp, so we'll go from there. So, okay, we ready, boss?
We are ready.
Okay. This is Warroad History Interview number 1. Today is Thursday, January 23rd, 2025. I'm Ron Tweet, and I'm with Brady Swanson at the Warroad Heritage Center. And today we're visiting with Doug Johnson, a longtime Warroad resident and avid fisherman. We look forward to hearing Doug's story about his role on the lake trawlers and his love of the lake, as well as life in Warroad. So, welcome, Doug.
Well, thank you guys. It's nice to be here on a nice cold Warroad day.
Let's start by having you introduce your family, your wife and children. Just name them and maybe a snippet about them.
Well, my wife, who's my chauffeur nowadays, they don't want me to drive too much anymore. She's my chauffeur, and we've been married for 60 years. Her name is Frances, better known as Bonnie Johnson, and we have 3 children. The oldest is Jackie, who is a lawyer stays in the Minneapolis area and lives in Plymouth. Janet, who's married to Glenn Mosier, and they, about 6 or 7 years ago, moved to Asheville, North Carolina, and she's retired. Jackie's going to retire also in April. And then my son Jeff lives in Inver Grove Heights, and he's married to a gal from Gilman, Wisconsin, and they have 2 grandchildren, Dougie and Teddy.
Okay.
And tell you a little bit about Jackie. She also has 2 children, Allie and Parker. Allie's in Los Angeles right now, fighting the fires. They're moving out of the area, or she's moving in a little further south to stay safe. And she's got a master's degree in advertising and working for a large advertising firm in LA. And Parker is in Tucson, Arizona with his girlfriend. And he's an outdoor guy. He's on the ski patrol on one of the ski resorts on the mountains in Tucson, Arizona. He's got a degree in performance music.
Wow.
And he plays the saxophone very well, but right now he's an outdoor guy, and in the summertime he's on runs a part of a summer camp for kids, and they are up in the North Shore, and he paddles a kayak around Lake Superior all summer long.
Yeah. It bothers me when you say that your children are thinking about retiring, because I had all 3 of them in school, so makes me feel real old.
Yeah,
so.
And my birthday is February 5th, which is 2 weeks from now, and I'm going to be 86.
Okay, wow.
So I was born in 1939.
Okay, good. Let's move on. Tell us about your hometown, where you grew up, and the family you grew up in, your siblings and parents.
Yeah. Well, I was born and raised on a farm near Rust City, Minnesota. My dad was a dairy farmer, and my mother was a school teacher. She taught 1st to 6th grade in a little tiny rural school in Greeley, Minnesota. And when she got married to my dad, she retired. And I have no brothers or sisters. I'm an only child.
Oh.
And we were, like I say, farmers, and we were dairy farmers. We had a herd of about 25 Holsteins. We raised chickens and pigs, and we had a big garden, and we had all the farm crops that dairy farmers raise. We had oats and corn and alfalfa and that kind of stuff. And
okay.
My mother's had a large garden. My mother canned all the kinds of produce stuff, so we always had lots of stuff to eat. Yeah. We had fresh milk every day.
Great. I'm curious as to whether or not fishing was a part of your childhood.
Well, that's true. We lived about, fortunately, we lived about a mile or a mile and a half north of Rush Lake. And there's an east-west and a west Rush Lake, and I used to be able to ride my bicycle and take my casting rod along and go to Strelow's Bridge, which covered the
Okay.
channel between the two lakes, and cast off Strelow's Bridge and catch northern pike. And then in shop, about when I was about a junior, I think, I built a boat in shop, an 8-foot prime, and I used that there was a bunch of smaller lakes, and I'd use that in the smaller lakes, and I'd put it in the back of my little pickup and go and put it in there and go fishing. I used to catch crappies to beat the band.
I assume you were using oars or paddles and no
we
motor.
had oars back in those days on an 8-foot boat.
Yeah,
But
right.
I made it in shop.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, great. How about high school? Moving on to high school.
Well, I was in Ross City High School, and I was. One other thing I was real active in was 4-H.
Okay.
You know, with the farmer, we had all kinds of. We exhibited beef cattle, and I exhibited hot pigs, and I exhibited chickens and that kind of stuff at the county fair, and I had developed a forestry scrapbook that I exhibited at the county fair, that I had all kinds of clippings and whatnot. I think I still have it someplace. And I was interested sort of in forestry, and I got somehow or the other through 4-H, I think I was 100 Norway pines, little Norway pines, and I planted them.
Oh.
And I'd like to see where they are right now, because that was about 75 years ago.
Interesting.
They're probably pretty big now.
Yeah.
Anyways, in school I was I was in band, and I played the trumpet, and I wasn't very good at it, so the band director said, "Why don't you try something else?" So I ended up playing the trumpet, the baritone, the trombone, the French horn, and the bass horn.
Wow.
And the reason I played the bass horn because I was a pretty big guy, and I was the only one that could hear the bass horn in the marching band. So they made me learn how to play the bass horn just so I could carry it in the marching band. And then I played the baseball. I was a pitcher.
Oh.
And I played football. I was a football player. I played offensive tackle and defensive end. And I also did the kickoffs and the point extra touchdowns. And I even think I tried a field goal or two. I don't know if I ever made one of them. I don't think so.
Okay.
But I never played basketball, but always went to all the basketball games. We had a good basketball team back in those days, but I wasn't much of a basketball player.
What year did you graduate?
I was class of 57. Class of 57 had a dream. You've heard that.
Oh, I have. The Statler brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Class of 57.
Let's move on to college. So after high school, you graduate in 57.
Yeah, and because I was interested in forestry, I actually got a $1,600 forestry scholarship if I majored or minored in forestry, and I majored in fisheries and minored in forestry. So that's how I got up to be a fisheries biologist, is because I majored in fisheries.
Okay. Where did you go to college?
I went to the University of Minnesota, and the fisheries area or department was on the cow campus in St. Paul.
St. Paul.
Yeah, and so was the forestry. They were also, but I took a lot of courses in the main campus. Took a lot of ologies. Ichthyology, and ornithology, and entomology, and all those kind of scientific deals. And took a lot of those. And I also, as soon as I was 18, I joined the Army Reserves. And I had to go I had a 6-month obligation. I figured it was better to do 6 months than 2 years because they were still drafting people. But after the first year, we had to go to a meeting once a month in Cambridge. And when I was going to school, I couldn't do that. So I switched to the Marine Reserve. And they had 1 month at Paris Island. So in the summertime, the first year between my junior and freshman and sophomore year, I spent a month in Paris Island. And that was kind of interesting. I got to be in pretty good shape. And I liked to shoot the M1. That was fun.
Yeah.
And then between my junior and or sophomore and junior year, I had to take courses. No, between my sophomore and junior and senior year, I had to take courses, summer courses in Lake Itasca. It was required courses. So I wrote the Marine Corps and said, hey, I got a problem here. I have to go to summer school to complete my education, and this conflicts with the time I'm supposed to go to Paris Island. So I got back a letter from them about a month later. They said, well, I understand your situation, and until you hear from us, we're not at war. Until you hear from us further, you're satisfactorily completing your military obligation. And about, after 6 years went by, I got a letter from them, and I discharged from the Marine Corps.
Okay.
Yeah, as a PFC.
All right.
Yeah.